So when the latch was not working, right, and the trunk was opening, I tried putting onto this base and then some these plastic ties to the base would sit here, right, and the plastic tie would go through this, and it did serve the purpose for some time. But on the highways, what would happen is the trunk would continuously try to lift this off, and then eventually it would open up. Then what I did was hi folks, so we have a Verna DIKKY latch here. Of course I have opened the assembly. The main problem with this design is that whenever anybody puts the dicky with force, this latch, specifically this plastic part, just breaks, and it renders the door not to close. So basically here we have this part which is cut. So if I will just show you, so if you see here, this part is cut here. We need to somehow fix this plastic part back into this and make it work for us. We'll get to how to do that. Before we even put some kind of adhesive on this and try to fix it, we'll have to get this grease off from this latch. So first things first, we'll try to clean this grease first with cotton and then with some soap and make it really non-greasy. First we'll take some cloth and try to remove this grease off. The reason why we have to remove the grease is that initially we'll use a cyanoacrylate adhesive to join the plastic part which is cut over here, and subsequently we'll be using ARALDITE because the cyanoacrylate adhesive will kind of hold the part together but may not offer the kind of strength we would want. Later on, when we put ARALDITE and set it for maybe like 4 or 5 hours, it will gain that strength during the operation. So for that we should ensure that the plastic part does not have any grease which compromises the bonding strength. So we'll just try to remove the excess grease first. Once we remove the excess grease, we'll clean the part using soap and water so that any additional grease is also taken off. Basically we have to ensure that there is no grease in this interface area of the plastic part which is cut. So if you notice here or here, this is where the part is cut which needs to be joined there, right? So we'll have to clean this as well. For now I'll turn off the camera and do some additional cleaning. We'll have to ensure that there is no grease in this plastic part either. There's absolutely no grease. So now that we have wiped with a dry cloth and give it a first wash, right, we'll use some soap, maybe some hand wash soap, and we'll put some soap here as well and use one toothbrush to remove any grease which might remain there. This is very important because once we put the adhesive, if there are any traces of grease, it would really deteriorate the bonding strength of the plastic part. So we'll give it a very good so if I have to say, brush its teeth, right? we are focusing more on the area where the plastic part is cut, which is over here. This is where the plastic part is cut. Actually, if I have to show you guys, it is supposed to be somewhere, supposed to be somewhat like this, right? After having cleaned it using soap and water along with a toothbrush, we let it dry under the sun for a while, so that it's really dry and devoid of any moisture. So we'll just let it kind of sun dry. So now we'll try to fix this part over here using a cyanoacrylate adhesive like FEVIKWIK. This is what it is. I'll open it off. We'll have to do this very carefully. Firstly, ensure that it doesn't fall on your skin, and so basically we'll have to put some amount of adhesive in this hole, very less, not much, just a little bit, and then press it back into the position. That's it. So we have applied some amount of adhesive, and then we'll quickly move this part into where it's supposed to go and just push it hard and hold it for a while. Just hold it like maybe a minute or so. You should apply some pressure and just hold it that way for 60 seconds or so. So we'll see. You see, this is pretty good job by FEVIKWIK actually, but it is holding the plastic part pretty firmly though. You see, there's good amount of strength, but I still want some ARALDITE over here so that it will give some additional strength. Yeah, we'll try that. We'll mix some ARALDITE now. We'll make sure that both are one is a resin and one is a hardener. This one is a hardener. You see, this one is a hardener, and we'll add some resin. Make sure that you add equal parts. So that's pretty much equal parts, and we will mix it with help of a screwdriver. We just have to keep mixing it for a while, maybe 2-3 minutes, and that should be good enough. Once you mix it well for 2-3 minutes, you may want to keep this mixture for about 10-15 minutes. That's because this ARALDITE is very fluidy, and if we apply this just after mixing it well, it might try to pour down and create some issues joining adjacent parts. So we don't want that. After mixing, we'll wait for 15 minutes and then apply this mixture over the plastic part. So we have waited for about 15 minutes after mixing the resin and hardener. So as you can see, it is not so liquidy right now. It is slightly more viscous than it used to be when we mixed it. I think this viscosity is good enough for us. What we'll do is we'll apply only over here near the joint, and take it around this and pour some over here in this what do you have a little deep kind of pit over there. So we'll have this ARALDITE flown from here all the way around this and over here, so that when it solidifies, it offers really good strength to this whole plastic part. Yeah, we'll try that now. You have to do this little carefully. Ensure that this mixture does not get anywhere else than the intended area, because that can cause a lot of problems later on. So here we go. We'll apply very gently, right, and then we'll let it, we'll apply some into this hole over here, right. Purpose is to have this gum around the joint as much as possible, only from the top, because we don't want to apply by the side, because it would get really messy, and we don't want this ARALDITE to jam any of its motion, or rather get on the way of its motion. So I think they should be good enough. Yeah. Right. So you can see that we are doing like a U kind of a thing here. Yeah. That's it. It is good idea to keep a check on how the ARALDITE is setting. You don't want ARALDITE to flow all around and cause some jamming issues. As you can see that it is pretty evenly around our desired area of interest, right. Good morning, guys. So we are already 15 hours into since we have applied the ARALDITE, and in the morning about 10-15 minutes back, at around 9 o'clock I have put it under the sun again for further setting. You can see that the ARALDITE is almost set. Hi guys, so here we have our DIKKY latch sub-assembly, and this is what we are trying to fix. So you can see that this part has already set. We are almost 24 hours, just about an hour short for 24 hours since we applied this ARALDITE, and as you can see it has come out pretty nice, right. So it's quite strong now, and we'll go ahead and assemble this. Before we assemble, we want to apply some lubrication to keep these moving parts move without any friction. We have with us some WD-40 spray. I think this should do well. We'll apply some of this spray specifically near the rivets. These rivets have to be well lubricated, so that it keeps these parts moving freely. And then we'll also apply some grease over here, where we'll apply grease to few other parts, like over here, where there will be some friction during the operation, right, and maybe over here when the latch is closed, right here. So we'll come to that little later. First things first, we'll apply the lubrication spray to this. Alright, so this is WD-40 spray, and we push this small plastic pipe into this, right, shake a bit, and then I'll try moving this a bit so that the lubrication kind of goes to all over. Right. Okay. Looks good. We'll take one of these tissue papers and gently wipe off whatever is excess. Just a little bit. I think this will be fine. Yeah. Okay. Before we apply grease, I would like to show you guys other parts associated with this latch, which is actually the actuator system, which is also a very important part of this assembly, which basically when we use the remote, which helps the lock open. So this is part of the actuator system, right? Here is the motor, and this motor is connected to this circular gear, right? And this gear kind of opens the latch, which basically pushes this to the side, and since this would be spring loaded, it will simply, once this moves to the right like this, it opens the latch and releases the hook. And these are some of the parts associated. So this spring is what holds this these two components together. These are spring loaded, so basically we'll put this spring across this hook and this over here, and then we actually need to put this this spring onto this gear. I had removed this spring yesterday. Sorry that I could not show you the complete disassembly because I was in a hurry to have this fixed. Nevertheless, I think if you guys can see me fixing back these things, you should also be able to disassemble it pretty without any hassles. So I will also show you some of the screws here. These screws are the ones which kind of holds the cover of the trunk. And there is some carpet kind of a thing which holds the carpet to the trunk, and here are two screws or rather nuts which holds this sub-assembly to the chassis of the trunk, and here are two plastic parts which basically forms the casing of the latch, right? So I think it will be a little confusing to see them individually now, but as we assemble, I think it should be clear as to what will go where. Hey guys, so here is the actuator system. We are going to apply some grease to the gear over here. A word of caution, do not excessively move this particular gear, because it is spring loaded, and you don't want it to, like, come off, and then it is quite difficult to put it back in there. But anyway, the spring loaded gear is there basically to help it come back to its resting position. So if you see here, this is the lever that's going to push the latch. Okay, once that is pushed, the spring helps it to regain its resting position. So if you know, this is what I mean when you use your a remote to open the lock. Basically this motor will push the lever like this and it will come back to this position, right? So we need to apply some grease over here. All right. We'll also apply some grease to some of the moving parts here, just to make it work frictionless and hopefully give years of trouble-free service. So one of the areas is over here, which has kind of you can see two tongues made of steel, which are like pushing it back against this what do you call surface. So we are going to put some grease on there, right? So we have applied some grease over here onto this tongue, and also over here, right, and also onto this spring. Also we have applied some FEVIBOND adhesive over here and here, just to hold this spring tight in its place. Yeah. Now we are going to close this sub-assembly by adding on to the actuator assembly onto this latch. Now we are going to fix this actuator assembly onto the latch. We'll have to ensure that this pin goes onto this hole, right, and then the screws kind of match these holes over here, right? There are 3 holes, and this pin should go into this hole, and then these holes should match with these 3 holes. Yeah, so we are just going to like keep it over here like this, and while we bring it closely, we are going to watch if that pin is moving in, right? Yes, that's it, right? Great. Now we are going to put the screws, right? We are going to put the screws, and this metallic screw, or rather this white screw, will go in here, and rest of the black screws will go to the plastic periphery. All right. So before we put on this plastic casing, we'll just do one dry run, putting onto the electrical connection to this actuator, and see if still things are working fine. This is the electrical wire which powers the actuator. So we are going to put this, right, and this is the cable which actually comes from the driver's seat lever, which pulls this. Will not so this is working fine. We have tested that. We'll just use the car remote now and see how things are working. So we have fixed the electrical connection, and what we'll do is we'll push this lever down so that this so now the dicky is closed, right, and with the remote we will try to open. You see, it's working. We'll try it once more. We are closing the trunk lid, it's closed, and we are using the remote. Great. We are going to put these plastic casing back onto the latch. So when we put this, we'll have to ensure this lock is going to get into this over here, right, and that is when it will snug fit it. So basically you will have to kind of run it on top of over it like this, right, and then push it. Yeah, there you go. So it has already so we are done. So now we are going to put the other plastic case onto this. When we put this, we'll have to make sure that there is there are two grooves here on the case that has to go onto this two protrusions over here, right? This and this. So basically, this has to kind of so when you put here, right? You just have to make sure that it mates in there, right? Over here, one over here, and one over there. You just have to take it over that and give it a gentle push, right? Yeah, and then we're all done. So we got one more screw to be tightened over here, right here. So we'll put one more screw over there, and that should cover our assembly, right? So our brand new latch is ready. We saved some money here, and this is all the good reason to be happy about. Okay, we are going to first put this cable onto the latch assembly. First things first, what you have to do is move this in. Before you move in, you'll have to get the ball in there like this, and press this, and okay, there you go. This is how you set it up, right? The ball over there through this groove, and the cable is going to sit into that groove over there, right? So this is how it works. Okay, now we have run in the cable into the latch assembly as well. Now I will ask my friend to just pull the lever from the car seat and see if it really works. All right, great. Once more, please. Okay, okay, things okay. The lever is in fact pulling the lever of the latch over here. Okay, we'll try fixing this back. So this should go in there, and with the help of the bolts, we are going to put this assembly back in here like this. We'll first put the nuts. And then use this tunnel spanner. We are going to put this power cable into this like this. You can hear a click when you put it. Okay, we have done a tentative kind of fix, and what we'll do is we'll try to close the hood and open it with the remote and see how good this works. We'll try closing it once more so that we are sure that things are fine. Okay, and pull down Sim. So we are going to put this carpet back onto the trunk lid. It's going to go in like this, right? And there are a few screws that we will have to put to hold them into its place. A quick word about these screws. They are like you basically push it in and then tighten it a bit. So putting these screws is pretty easy, right? So what you have to do is you'll have to push these flowers or petals into the hole, right, like this, right, and then take the screw, right, take the screw and just push it in like this. That's it. You don't even have to use a screwdriver to do that. Finally, our trunk lid off. the car is working, and it's a great success. Thanks for watching.